Hello everyone, happy new week. I hope you're doing well. It's been a couple of weeks since our last video, but that video we've been able to predict the moves in the market with great accuracy. If you go back and watch that video, you can see where we said the markets will go to and where they are now. If you should be able to take advantage of these moves in the market by the analysis we give you. But on the screen, you can see this week's news. There's a lot of news this week. If you look at, especially in the US, you've got JOLTS, which is quite a key data as well. We've got Australian CPI. You've got a few other things. You've got US ADP, which is jobs employment. You've got the Canadian Bank of Canada rate meeting, as well as the US meeting as well on the same day. So Wednesday is quite a key day. You've also got the Japanese rate data as well as interest rates in Japan, and also then you've got US core PCE, which is actually the Fed's preferred measure of inflation. So that's very, very key on Thursday. And on Friday, we have the US non farm payrolls as well as European CPI data. So this is a big, big, big week for news. They expect high volatility, trade with diligence, with good risk management. But there is money to be made this week if you are at the charts. Just look for your setups, don't gamble. But there should be a chance for you to make good money in this week's market. So looking at the dollar index, first of all, this is the weekly time frame. What you can see is last week was a bearish candle, so we expect price to continue in its bearish move. We did say that we expect price, or in last video, to come up into this order block here, which it did do 2 weeks ago, and then last week we had a nice bearish engulfing candle. Price has also moved below this volume imbalance here, so that is potentially a place that price can manipulate into, given that Wednesday is the first big data we have in terms of the interest rate in the US. Price can move up into this area, then maybe potentially melt down from there. We are currently in an inverse fair value gap, so that might provide some support. That is what I prefer, price to move up into this area, then move bearish from Wednesday onwards. But we never can rule out price moving before Wednesday. It can move tomorrow, today. So do watch out. If you look at the daily time frame, it does look for us to potentially, yeah, we're in a value gap right now. But I do expect price to do pull up into this area, taking out the Friday highs from last week. That will be good. NFP usually does set the high or low for the month. So you can expect this week to set a high for the month. If you're able to catch that high and then ride the trend for the entire month of August. Yeah, and maybe look at the 4 hour to see what we can find on here in terms of setups and potentially, there's a fair value gap that price can revisit up here. That will be a place that aligns with the daily fair value gap as well. So that will be a place that I can expect price to move into. Price did gap down and it has now closed the gap. So we're looking for me to tick higher through the day towards Tuesday, potentially Wednesday with the FOMC. It can wick above this high and then move lower. That will be my preferred move in potentially a move something like that. Okay, that is what I prefer to happen this week. But don't rule out something like this that can just literally, I'm just even using an arrow, can just literally move lower from here. It doesn't have to go up above this high. This high can hold, or there can be some SMT divergence. Okay, so now we're going to look at the next currency. So let's clear this off. In fact, no, we can leave this here. This is what I was using to analyze over the past week. So we have, I'll look at this on the low time frame for now. But this is a weekly time frame. Last week's candle was a very, very big wick to the upside. This is a bearish sign. It is a bearish sign. However, we want to see what price does first. This is stuck in between, we call it a rock and a hard place, because we have a fair value gap here that price has been holding. It's been holding price higher, supporting price, and we've got a fair value gap here as well that's been holding price lower. So we're technically speaking on cable, on pound dollar, in trapped order flow. We want to see price either close above the 50% of this wick here, or close below the open price of last week's candle. That will let us know where price wants to go, and ideally even close below the 50% of this fair value gap. Then we know that price wants to reverse on this currency pair. I also want to take maybe a look at Euro USD, just because yeah, this is more bullish. So if you're trading bearish on the dollar index, you want to trade this rather than cable, because cable looks like it is more bearish. The pound is losing strength compared to the euro against the dollar. So I would potentially be looking for longs on euro. You can see on the weekly time frame that there is it's holding this fair value gap, and it's looking to push higher to the highs up here. Whereas if you go back to cable, we will find that price is, so if we go back to euro, what we can see is price is holding this candle here is what's forming the fair value gap, 23rd of June, and also price is above that the low, sorry, from 23rd of June. Whereas when you go to cable, we see the 23rd of June is this candle here. Price has wicked below the low, okay, and this it's closed below um, even the open of this price. So this is much more bearish. I would, prefer to trade euro over the pound dollar. Now this is quite. Let's clear this off and also remove this. This is looks quite messy because gold has been in a very sideways movement and consolidation. Last week we had a big wick to the upside. It did come into a um, weekly rejection block and has looked to now move lower. So this potentially does look like it might want to move lower for the next couple of weeks. Um, We've not made another new all-time highs just yet, so price looks like it might want to take this candle here to the downside before moving higher. Another target to the downside would also be this rejection block, and then also this low here. I potentially want to see price come into the first low and then move higher. I'm still bullish on gold for now. We'll have a very quick look at silver. That will be the preferred asset over gold to trade. On the daily time, if you can see, the price coming to this level here and has just moved lower for 3 days in a row and has broken below a fair value gap here. So this is now an inverse fair value gap. We also have a fair value gap that was formed on this here on the downside. So yeah, price is definitely looking to move lower in my opinion. There's a lot of liquidity here that price can look to move down into. So I'm bearish on gold for now. Bearish on gold for now. If you look at silver, uh, silver looks more bullish, much more bullish. If you want to be bullish on a commodity, silver will be the one to go for. There's a fair value gap below price. Last week's candle did wick to the high, so it might want to come into this fair value gap before moving higher. In my opinion, that will be a great move to look for. On the day we did actually move below this inverse fair value gap, and if price closes similar to where it is right now, it would also form a fair value gap on this downside here. So definitely bearish for now in the short term for gold and silver, but I'll then be looking for a bullish move to the upside once we get to certain levels. For this, I think we can just maybe wick below the lows of this candle here. But we also can move higher from it at this point. Let's not neglect that, because we're in a bullish, a key bullish order block here. So price can move higher. So if I were to trade a short, it will be on gold. I wouldn't necessarily take shorts on silver because it can move higher from what we are. We're in a great place of support right now. But for terms of longs, it's only silver for me for commodities. And then finally, if we look at NQ, this is NQ on the weekly. What you can find is price has gapped higher. So there's a big gap from last week to this week. Maybe we should go and look to see what happened in the stock world in terms of news over the weekend, why price has gapped much higher. But you can see price has been making steady highs. You can see price is slowing in momentum, so we do expect a pullback very soon. But for now, we're going to trade what we see, which is price moving higher. Okay, now on the daily time frame, price is big gap higher. We potentially look to take shorts in to close that gap at some point today or tomorrow. As you can see, when the price does gap higher, the wick comes down to close the gap. You can find a similar thing along here. When you see gaps to the upside, like here as well, price does move back down to the gap. We do expect price to close this gap in the next few days, especially maybe today or tomorrow before the Fed funds rate decision. Okay, whenever you do see a gap, price should move lower. So we do expect price to move lower into that gap maybe today or tomorrow. Shorts are on the cards for the Nasdaq, but we are definitely bearish. Don't trade against, or don't take long-term trades against the trend. You can see that prices for the past few days. Last week, price was showing support in key fair value gaps. Okay, we were getting big swings to the downside. That does suggest that this is in a weak bullish trend. I would say price is pulling back quite deep after a big move. Okay, so we can expect a big move to the downside at some point. I would say maybe this later this week or next week. NFP is this week, so we should be careful with that and see what we can trade. But yeah, so have a great trading week, guys. Please be safe with the volatility in the markets, but there is money to be made. So please be at the markets, watch your charts, and execute accordingly. Look for your setups only. Don't sort of look for any weak setups, any sort of quick, oh, this might make money. Stick to your plan, have discipline, and make money. Have a wonderful week.